it's time for kids time. We're going to be late.
It's time to share. There's a world out there looking for a friend like Jesus. It's time to share. There's a world out there. Let's tell him that he loves us so. Let's tell him that he loves us so. Kids time. Kids time. Kids time.
Hi, boys and girls. Have you ever done something mean to a friend and then felt really bad about it? And then when you asked for forgiveness, your friend said, "Sure, I forgive you," and you just went on being best friends. But what if right after that happened, a second friend came up to you and said, "I'm sorry for being mean to you today. Please forgive me." And you looked and said, "No, I won't forgive you. I don't ever want to be friends with you again." Well, I hope not, boys and girls. I hope you would remember that you had just been forgiven. And I hope you would remember how good it felt to be friends again and then forgive your second friend just as you had been forgiven. Because, boys and girls, that's what God has called each of us to do. Forgive as we have been forgiven. And I know I've been forgiven a lot. I'm sure you have too. That's what our Bible story is about today. We'll hear it soon. But right now, hey, Maxwell and I are getting ready for... Maxwell? Maxwell, sleeping again. Get ready for nature time. Come on, Maxwell, you can do it. Come on, boy. Come on. Hey, it's nature time.
Hi, boys and girls.
Welcome to Nature Time. Ranger Jim, we're here in beautiful western Montana today, and you know it is such a privilege and a pleasure to be on the program together. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about white-tailed deer. You know, white-tailed deer are found in most all of North America, so many boys and girls are familiar with them. They see them in their yards sometimes, or they see them in the fields that they pass, farmers' fields. And so if we could talk just a little bit about it, even out here in beautiful Montana where we also have the mule deer, we also have the white-tailed deer. Now I noticed, Ranger Jim, you're holding something in your hand. Is this something about, what does this have to do with the white-tailed deer?
Well, boys and girls, this is what the daddy deer wears. And from the time he's born, on his forehead, up on the top of his skull, if you look with binoculars, you can see even when he's very small, there'll be a little knob about that big sticking up. It's called a button. And from that, these antlers grow. You see, I almost said horns. They're not horns, they're not permanent, because they're shed. And each year, this grows larger and larger. And then this is a very mature buck, and we call this a matched set. You said you found these, and these came from the same buck because they're just matched perfectly. And sitting up on his head, boys and girls, they're majestic with sitting up like this. Beautiful. And Ranger Rod, I have seen them run through the brush at 30 miles an hour with this. They put their head in the air, their nose is up, and the antler lays back like this, and they can run right through the brush, and it doesn't even catch.
You know, Ranger Jim, in the eastern part of the country, maybe in fact you live in the eastern part of the United States, they count these points differently than they do here in the West. Now, that might be interesting for boys and girls, because if you have an opportunity, let's say to visit the West, if you're from the East, or if you have the opportunity to visit the East because you're from the West, this is a little tidbit of knowledge that I'm going to give you so that you can sound very knowledgeable about antler points. In the East, let's say in Michigan or Pennsylvania or New York, this would be considered a 10-point buck.
Right.
Because he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. But if you're out here in the West, let's say in Montana or Wyoming or Colorado, this is considered a 5-point buck. He would be what they would say, he's a 5x5.
Right.
They would never call him a 10-point buck, unless, of course, he was, you know, a proud photographer that had a photograph of it, and he says, look at all 10 points on that buck.
10-point would be almost big as an elk, wouldn't it?
That's right. You know, Ranger Jim, I'm holding an antler here, and maybe you can talk just a little bit about this. This, for some reason, looks different than the antler that you're carrying.
All right, that's very simple. You see, the main beam goes along like this, and these tines come off the main beam and come up that way, whereas these branch from the main beam and go up like that, okay? And the rule of thumb for counting the points, and many hunters, they want to get a big count like a 10-point or a 12-point. If the point sticking out here has to be big enough to support hanging a cup of some kind on like that would be that. And so these are shed, as we said, in the fall, and then in the spring he grows a new one. But the fun thing is, Ranger Rod, you and I know, because we're out all the time, when we see a little buck like this, and when the doe has twins, here'll be the little boy, little male deer and the female,
Right.
and you can tell from the second week in life just the way they act if it's a boy. Just like with boys and girls when they're out playing. The girls will be a little more dainty, and they will tend to stay closer to mother. And the boy, right off the bat, what's he's doing? He's chasing off out there, and his mother goes and gets him, gives him a nudge and a butt. Come back over here, she says. But you can see from the very time when they get out and start running and ripping and tearing, he doesn't go around the brush. Boom, he runs right through it.
Isn't that something?
And so from the time they're very young, you can tell the difference in them.
Amazing. You know, Ranger Jim, I just wanted to touch base once again about this particular antler. This is an antler I want to tell the boys and girls in case they didn't know from a mule deer. A very similar species.
Right.
Many of their habits are quite the same. Many of the ways they raise their young are the same. Maybe we could touch just for a moment on the mothers and the fawns. At this time of year here in western Montana, many of the does, that's the mama deer, are going around with their fawns. And Ranger Jim, you were sharing with me yesterday a very interesting point about how these mothers, from the mother whitetail and the mother mule deer, differ a little bit on their defense of their fawns. Could you share with us?
All right,
just a
and
little bit about
that is an exciting and a wonderful thing. In experiments, boys and girls, biologists took these sounding the tapes with microphones out in the woods with a recording, and they played over this tape a fawn being attacked by a coyote. The coyote growling and the fawn making meow, bah, bah, a sound like that. And then the white-tailed deer, if the mother deer, if the doe had her fawn with her, she wouldn't respond.
Isn't that
She wouldn't go and see what was going on. And with the mule deer mother, even if she had twins standing side by side with her, she would respond and go to that sound, and she would look back and forth and all around trying to find out what the... Every time she would respond. And so the thinking on that is that here in the West, where the mule deer is more prominent,
Right.
they are more open to attack from coyotes and wolves and things of that nature, so those mothers are much more protective of their fawns than are the mule deer.
You know, Ranger Jim, that reminds me of the thought, shouldn't we as Christians be very
Amen.
protective even of one another, not just within our own family unit, but shouldn't we be looking out for one another? Isn't that a principle that's all through the
Amen.
Bible?
Amen. It's been a thrill today to be here and to share some of this knowledge with you, boys and girls. I have finally found someone who loves animals as much as I, Ranger Rod. So this is Ranger Jim saying, as always, don't forget to tell Jesus you love him, because he really does love you.
He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the tiny little baby in his hands. He's got the tiny little baby in his hands. He's got the tiny little baby in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got you and me, brother, in his hands. He's got you and me, sister, in his hands. He's got you and me, brother, in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his
Welcome to Learning Time. I'm glad that you're here today. And you know, today we're going to do an exciting science experiment. And are you ready to do an science experiment? Yeah! Well, I'm going to need 3 helpers, and we have Madison over here. Madison, where are you from?
Illinois.
Illinois. Hey, you're right at home, aren't you? Because we're in Illinois right now. And then we have Christopher over here. Christopher, where are you from?
I'm from Georgia.
From Georgia. Oh, how many of you are from Georgia? Anybody? Oh, we got a few from Georgia. And then we have Raina. Raina, where are you from?
Tennessee.
Tennessee. So we're spread out, aren't we? Now, I want you all to come up here. So we've got our 3 helpers up here. And why don't you come on around here, Raina and Madison, come on up here. And I've got something in my hand right here. Oh, what do you suppose these things are?
Balloons.
They're balloons. You know, how many of you would like to make a lot of money? That's not a bad idea. Okay, sure, you've got to make a living. You know, there are some people that came up with a balloon and they said, you know, we could make a balloon that could sound like a rocket. Well, that'd be a fun balloon, wouldn't it? Yeah, and it would shoot like a rocket too. So we're going to study this little balloon out. And all we have to do is put some air in the balloon. So these are real hard to blow up by our mouth. So we're going to use a pump. Whoop, hang on. Here we go. Let's blow up our balloon with our pump. Here we go. Oh, hang on. Having technical difficulties with our pump. Whoa, did that scare you? Okay, we'll try this one again here. Here we go. Let's try to do this one. Here. All right, come on. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Maybe we can get this thing to work. We're going to pump this thing up. I'm going to hand this to Christopher. Okay, Christopher, you ready to grab this balloon? Okay, and it's ready to go, so you might want to straighten it out because, you know, rockets are usually straight, aren't they? Yeah, because a crooked rocket is going to go crooked, isn't it? Yeah. So let's go ahead and try to blow this balloon up, too. We'll give this one here to Raina, okay? Now, inside of these balloons, we have what kind of pressure? What kind of pressure is inside? Air pressure, sure. It's loaded with air, and that air, hang on to that, Raina, okay? These balloons are loaded with air, right? Air pressure. Air pressure is pushing out in all directions. But if we release the valve in, that's where I'm putting air in there, then the air comes out very, very quickly. And then the air pressure is real low coming out, high air pressure all around it. Makes the balloon shoot out there. Think we can shoot these balloons out? Okay, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to shoot them out one at a time. So why don't you start first, Christopher, and just above their heads. Can you aim right over here? And how about let's give them a 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Release the balloon. Whoop, hang on. Whoa! How about that? Raina, how about yours? Are you ready? So we'll aim just above their heads and let her go. Countdown. 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Whoa! Whoa, way over there. My goodness. Are you ready for yours?
Yeah.
Okay, countdown for the blue one. 3, 2, 1. Let's let this thing put on the ground. Whoa, way over there. Whoa. Now, that was interesting, wasn't it? Hey, let me ask you a question. Did you hear the balloon make a screaming sound? Yeah. It sounded just like a rocket. You know why it makes that screaming sound? Because these scientists, these people that made these balloons, they actually have a little valve in on here, and it vibrates when the air comes out, and it makes that vibration. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this balloon back on our pump. I'm going to pump this thing up, but we're going to take that valve in, we're going to shorten it. We're going to get it real short so it can't vibrate. You think the balloon's going to sound like a rocket? No, not if it can't vibrate. So here we're going to take this right here. Can you cut that for me? We're going to cut just this balloon end, just the valve end off. We're going to shorten it up a little bit. So just cut it right between my fingers. Are you ready?
Yeah!
All right, you think it's going to make a sound? No. How about the countdown? 3, 2, 1, and there it goes. Whoa, it didn't make a sound at all, did it? No. But you know what? If you know a lot about science, you might be just like those scientists that came up with that balloon. Everybody wants one because they go fairly straight and they make a sound like a screaming, screaming rocket. Isn't that cool? Yeah. I think so too. So we can have fun with vibrations and sound. And sound makes up a lot of our life because I love to listen to those sounds, don't you? Yeah. But you know, I think we ought to listen to good things, shouldn't we? Yeah, pleasant sounds, pleasing sounds. And you know, when you listen to music, you shouldn't listen to it real loud, should you? No, it can hurt our ears. Well, remember, boys and girls, every time we study more about science, we're really learning more about our Creator, and that's God.
Hey, Simon, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Great.
I'm forgiven. I'm out of debt. I'm free.
Wait a minute. Calm down a little
How
bit.
can I calm down?
What debt? What are you talking about?
Look, I owed the king 10,000 talents.
10,000?
I kept taking and not paying back, and I got into a terrible situation.
But why did you keep going back over and over again?
Good question.
But the king?
The king.
What kind of man is he?
The king who I didn't have much of a relationship with. I am now discovering he is gracious, he is patient, he is forgiving.
But you're telling me someone that you hardly knew
Yes.
forgave you 10,000?
Yes. I could have lost my wife, my children, my home, everything. I owed everything.
What a gracious king. Hey, Simon, is that Reuben over there?
Reuben?
Yeah, Reuben.
Excuse me just a minute.
But wait a minute.
I
will
need
you...
to talk to
but
Reuben. Well.
What?
Reuben,
Yes, sir.
you haven't been hanging around too much, have you?
No, Simon, I haven't.
I wonder why.
Well, I've just had things I've had to do.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been paying back money, has it?
Well, I haven't got it right.
Yeah, exactly. You haven't got it, have you?
No, I haven't got it.
You know how much
But
time I've given you?
what if you just give me time?
How
I'll
much
pay you
time?
back. Just a little time.
Yeah,
and I'll
that's
pay
what
you
you
back
had, a
all.
little time.
Have
Guard,
mercy on me.
I want
Have mercy
no
on me.
mercy.
Oh, if you just
Just
give me...
take him to jail.
But I've been giving
Take him.
time.
Go.
But
Move.
just... I have...
Just move.
I have...
Move.
I have 10...
Move.
I have 10 children.
Move.
Simon, didn't you just say that the king had forgiven you a huge debt? You didn't show him any mercy whatsoever.
He owed me a lot of money.
But if the king showed you mercy,
Thank you, King. He owed me money.
but you should have... Poor Reuben. No mercy. It's the king.
Simon! Simon! I have heard that you have not shown mercy to your servant. Therefore, I rescind my mercy to you. And I decree that you shall go to prison until your debt is paid in full. Guards! Guards! Arrest him!
Benjamin.
Put him in prison!
Simon.
No, I need more time. Benjamin, tell my wife. Benjamin, go talk to the king. I don't need to go. I don't...
Simon. Poor Simon. I've learned such a valuable lesson today. If God, in his love and mercy, can forgive me, I must learn to forgive others. I've got to tell this to my family. I've got to share this with my family.
Boys and girls, it's time for Miss Brenda's Book of the Day! And today's book is called Good as Gold by Heather Grove. Boys and girls, if you like horses, you're going to want to get this book. Well, today is a very special program because I have somebody very special in the studio, somebody the whole world loves. She came to Kids Time when she was just 7 years old and taped a program with me. And today she is back. Welcome to the program, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for coming back to Kids Time. And you brought your mom, Denise, with you today. Sarah, how old are you now?
12.
12, and you just got a great big praise report. Should we let Mom tell us about it? Mom, Sarah just had a recent checkup.
Yeah, she went in for brain tumor clinic, something she has to do all the time, and they said there is no sign of cancer coming back, and her chances of getting it back have gotten a lot less.
Oh, that's praise the Lord. That's awesome. Because when you came to Kids Time before, you told me something on the program about yourself. What did you tell me? Do you remember what you told me, that you had something wrong with you, and what was wrong with you?
I
had
the cancer.
You had cancer? And you had a brain tumor? And you had to have some surgery, didn't you?
Yes.
And Jesus is really healing you, isn't he? And in fact, your doctors told you that you would never walk again, and you know that Jesus did something special because you not only walk, you can run, and what else can you do? You can ride a bike. You sent me a little...
And I can walk and
Yes, you can walk better. That's right. Because Miss Brenda carried you on the program the last time, didn't I? And I didn't have to carry you today, did I? You walked right in here, and I was so excited to see you. And I also saw a little video of you riding your bike, and so that was, I bet that surprised the doctors. But you had a doctor that, she wasn't very nice to you, was she? What did she tell you?
that's my face is funny, and it will always be funny. And we ugly all the time.
She told you that your face looked funny, was always going to look funny, and that you were always going to look ugly. That's a terrible thing to say, isn't it? And how did that make you feel?
Sad.
Made you feel sad. I think I would have gone home and cried about it. Did you? But then you shared something with Miss Brenda that really touched my heart, because you really prayed for her, and God gave you a love in your heart for her, didn't you? And you wanted to be a witness to her. And Mom, share with us, Sarah, what Sarah told you.
Well, when we found out we'd have to go back to this doctor, Sarah said, well, Mom, I don't think we should have fired her, because if we don't go back, who's going to tell her about Jesus?
Oh. And so now you get a chance to go back and see the doctor, and isn't she going to be surprised to see that you are walking and running and riding your bike? That is so exciting. Well, Sarah, what would you tell boys and girls that look different? What would you say to them?
That your face is pretty, and Jesus made it.
That's right, because if Jesus made our faces, they're beautiful, right? And Jesus did make our faces. Well, Sarah, I have a letter here I'd like to read, and this letter is from Amy. She's from Michigan. Can you hold, oh, she brought us a picture. I love your pictures, boys and girls. Can you hold that picture up for me, Sarah? Okay, and this girl says, Dear Miss Brenda, how are you? I watch your show all the time, and I love to share Jesus with my friends, and I tell them about Christian clubs like Kids Club. Please tell Sarah that I pray for her almost every night, and not to feel sad because she can't do some of the things that other kids can do. Well, I have to go now. Sincerely, Amy. P.S. I love Kids Time. Well, wasn't that sweet? She prays for you every night. And, you know, I think there's a lot of kids that you don't even know about. Probably thousands of kids around the world have been praying for you, Sarah. Let's see, there's a letter over here, and this letter is from Tobago. Let's see who this is from. I'm trying to open it really fast here. It says, Dear Miss Brenda, and it's from Hakeem from Tobago. I have completed all of the lessons, and I want to thank you for getting into your kids club. Thank you for them. I have learned so much. On Sabbath, I had to preach in the children's sanctuary in church, and I chose one of the lessons, and I did very good. I am learning more about Jesus, and I share with others every day. I am in 5th grade, and my little brother's going to kindergarten. So thanks for everything. Love, Hakeem. Well, thank you, Hakeem, and I'm glad to see that you're standing up and preaching for Jesus. I really like that. He's only in 5th grade. That's pretty awesome, isn't it, Sarah? And you brought something for Miss Brenda today. What did you bring me?
Some money.
You brought me some money. Can I see? And what? Now, who is this from?
From my brothers.
From your brothers, Tyrell and Levi. And this is for what do they want me to spend this on?
On kids' time.
And there's, wow, this is a lot of money in here. How much money is in here?
$250.
$250.
Wow, that's a lot of money. And what do you want me to do with this money?
Give it for kids' time.
It's for the Kids' Time Special Fund.
All right. So that means Miss Brenda can use it however I need to for Kids' Time to win souls for Jesus. And I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. How did you get this money?
I went to
She sold her puppies.
And
you sold your puppies? How many puppies did you have?
I had
4 of them.
4? What kind of puppies?
They were rat terriers.
Rat terriers. I never heard of a rat terrier, but Miss Brenda's not an expert on dogs. Oh, well, Sarah, thank you so much for being on our program. Will you come back again soon?
Yeah.
I just want to tell you how much I love you, and Miss Brenda prays for you every day, too. And I love your mom, and your mom is our sharing time coordinator on Kids Time. So, boys and girls, if you want to be on Kids Time, just send me an email, kidstime@3abn.org, and I'll make sure that Miss Denise gets it, and we can get you scheduled for Kids Time. Because, boys and girls, I want you to realize that every day it's Kids Time to share Jesus.
Hi, I'm Buddy, and these are some of the Kids Time singers. We're here to tell you about our CD, It's Time to Share. Ben, what was your favorite song on the CD?
My favorite song was Won't You Take Care of These?
Won't you take care of these?
And how about yours, Andrew?
Busy all the time.
I'm busy, 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 busy all the time.
And Glesney, what about yours?
Seek and you will find. Seek and you will find.
Recorded at 3ABN, we love doing the CD, and we know you'll love having it.
Ask your parents to order a CD for you today. It's available for a suggested donation of $16.50. You can call us at 1-800-752-3226 or write to Kids Time CD, P.O. Box 220, West Frankfort, Illinois 62896. We would love to share this CD with you.
Hey, Mom, do you know what keeps an apple tree right side up?
The roots?
You're right. Besides supplying the tree with food and water so that it can produce all these delicious apples, the roots are like an anchor to the tree so that it can withstand all sorts of wind and other pressures without falling over. If it weren't for the roots, the tree wouldn't be able to stand up at all.
Excellent point, Kimberly, and that reminds me of how we need to be firmly rooted to Jesus so that we'll be able to stand up against the circumstances and temptations that come to us every day.
Family worship is a good way to get us rooted to Jesus, isn't it?
It is. You know, when we have family worship together every morning and every evening, it strengthens our friendship with Jesus and with each other, and it helps us all stay firmly rooted to Jesus.
Together, right?
Together with Jesus.
Why does classical music seem to be the solution for stress, healing, higher brain function, better plant growth, and so much more? Well, the answer might lie in the frequencies. Classical music contains a larger set of frequencies than any other music, And although researchers still are not sure which frequencies and frequency combinations work the best, it is undeniable. Mozart, Beethoven, and the rest of the classic crew are good for your health. I'm Jennifer LaMountain reminding you, God has created each one of us with a musical mind.